DRX GENG, game 2. I think that's where we start, ladies and gentlemen. Can you say something about Fnatic off-season? No. This is not Keemstar. I am YamatoCannon. I'm here to review GENG vs DRX. Something to highlight before we start reviewing this game 2 is these teams, yeah? These teams have faced each other multiple times. Always when you have teams face off against each other, it's also important to highlight that at this point of this tournament, these teams have also scrimmed against each other. That is information that they are using against the other team in the context of course, the best of 5. And you can see it in the bans as well. So, the main thing here, when you look at the draft, start of the game, is that this is the first time we see the Caitlyn challenged. So what I mentioned, especially when, like I had a conversation with Monte, Doa, no sorry, not Doa, is Wolf and Thorin, and we were talking about draft, and I said the main thing that people might look to do is that they challenge some of these teams, the champions that have been permabanned in the tournament. Maybe someone creates something to counter the Heimerdinger. Maybe someone sets up a situation where they counter the Yumi. Maybe some teams set up a case where they counter the Caitlyn. Right? These are all ideas that you could execute on. Right? And this time around we saw Caitlyn and the answer into Caitlyn, which was the Varus. So we scroll down, I mean not Varus, the Karma. Varus was after, right? The reason they go for Karma is because Karma is the only support that is strong enough to lane with a couple of AD carries that you can drop 4-5 with. The issue is, if you don't pick Karma and Karma gets banned, a lot of combos bot get denied. A lot of combos just get denied, and the main thing with Karma is you can play Karma Ezreal, you can play Karma Ashe, you can play Karma Varus, you can play Karma Jhin. These are all combos that you can play together with Karma into Caitlyn Lux. That's why they chose to pick Karma on 3. So this is something that occurred in scrims already. People were picking Karma, and an issue that happened was when Caitlyn teams dropped support for 5, Lux got banned and Karma was banned. Then it was quite difficult to, of course, blind pick a support together with Kate. You would just run into like Soraka, it would be very difficult. Caitlyn can't combine herself with a lot of the melee support, she needs to play with the range support, so people started playing Lux 2-3. And then if you removed Karma and potentially like Kalista or some other all-in lane, then Caitlyn Lux would be too powerful. People ended up picking Karma when Caitlyn was open. This is what happened in scrims for us too, when we reached the same conclusion. At some point we were blind picking Soraka into Caitlyn when Caitlyn was picked on red side, and we removed Lux and one more support, and the other team would usually ban Karma and Ashe. Someone in chat asked, does Morgana fit here instead of Karma? So Morgana is very weak against Caitlyn and Lux. Morgana doesn't like to play against long-range champs because it's very difficult to hit bindings on champions that can hold a good distance. And also Lux is very long-range, has AP damage, and there is very little counterplay for Morgana. Morgana likes to play in lanes where she is going to have the AD carry that is stronger than the enemy AD carry, and the enemy bot lane needs to force all-ins onto the AD carry. So for example, Morgana Draven or Morgana Caitlyn, these are strong lanes when they are playing against lanes that, of course, want to all-in. So an answer, for example, you could pick Morgana into Nautilus, and you have the stronger AD, then it makes sense. And then naturally Morgana and Kate, they have a combo. And the Draven is a champ that is quite low distance and is very fragile, so the black shield can be very helpful for him to fulfill his potential in the game. Thank you very much, Reddish Star, for your prime. With that being said, we look at the rest of the draft. I was surprised here by DRX that they didn't pick Ornn themselves, because they need to pick a tank, right? They have Caitlyn, Kindred, Lux. Naturally, they're going to pick a tank. I thought they're going to go for Ornn Victor. The Ahri proved to be very useful in this game. I think Zeka played out of his fucking mind in this match on the Ahri. The Gragas is also, like, it depends on where you are and how you feel about your comfort, right? And maybe you don't want to give Silas a Ornn ult, but Gragas ult is also not weak, right? But Ornn ult, I would say, is a little bit more premium. Okay. So this was a very nice adaptation from DRX. The fact that they warded here, especially after the first series, right, between Damwon and GENG, when you had champions that could dash over walls. This is a very unique ward, right? This doesn't help anyone in lane, but it does play around the fact that someone dashes over the wall. So this is a very nice ward. Piyoshik gets a lot of information and darts over the wall and goes into enemy topside. The main thing here is that there's a ward here that spots. Piyoshik tries to dodge over it, but it doesn't matter. I thought that Peanut, I think Peanut is good in a game like in game states that replicate themselves between games. I think for the majority of summer, the meta was very straightforward. There was a lot of Zeri, a lot of Lucian Nami. It was a lot, if you get your bot lane ahead, you're going to be winning. And he had to just make sure that he was bot when it was good for bot to have their jungler behind them so they could press their advantage. And this is something that Peanut did very well. They played around timings well, the 3v3. We were very happy to be in bot as GENG to just make sure that the bot lane is ahead. The meta was good too. There was a lot of Sejuani. I think Peanut had a tendency to play good in fights where he had some big ultimates that would set up his teammates, like Sejuani. I remember a lot of Wukong games that were pretty decent. But GENG got a lot of their advantages through superior laning, creating opportunities for jungler, and jungler getting value out of those opportunities. And I think the meta has been vastly different at the World Championship, and that's why I think we have seen such a big resurgence of T1. I've always said on this channel that I feel like DRX is T1 Junior in terms of how they've played at this tournament. I think Doran maybe has shifted his tone or his tune a little more in the tank direction, which is a little bit different from Goose. But at the beginning of the tournament, Doran was playing Camille and Fiora left and right, but now he's been slowing down a little bit because of Kingen. I'm saying Doran, but I'm talking about Kingen. Sorry. He played the Ornn game, he played the Gragas game. So we move on. So this invade, this ward was very nice. Both junglers are aware of both things, but GENG are generally very happy with such a situation, right? They want to create a split map situation against the Caitlyn Lux, because Caitlyn Lux wants to push. But Caitlyn Lux did a very nice thing here. I'm not sure why this happened, but I feel like Ruler and Lehens should have fought back against them, because letting Caitlyn Lux here crash the wave is not that great. They are allowed to crash the wave. Second wave, they pushed into the tower, and now they're freezing 3 ranged minions, which of course isn't enough, because the next wave that is coming is the cannon wave, so they're going to create a big slow push. Here Ruler's also hitting the wave. The next wave is a cannon wave, so this will be unfrozen. I think Peanut probably could have dunked Barrel a little bit more here, but he was worried about getting bound, so he pulled out. I really hated when Graves plays Dark Harvest. I think playing Fleet Footwork is vastly superior, because most keystones, every keystone, doesn't work in the jungle, except Fleet. Fleet increases your jungle clear speed and keeps you more healthy. Obviously health is not an issue or a concern for Graves, but it is something to consider in a world where you get the move speed and then you just jump. I need to correct my thoughts a little bit. I think this cap is pressing a little bit too much on my head. trying to make it fit more, but I have such a big ass head. Even phase rush is better. Yeah, I would say phase rush. I think Dark Harvest is complete garbage. It's so bad. It's terrible. Like the whole tree of precision is insane. The precision tree is crazy good. Everything in it is broken. You get Triumph, okay? Triumph. You get Alacrity. You get Coup de Grace. You sometimes buy Cutdown. You get Last Stand. All broken runes. Why is it bad? Because Dark Harvest is something conditional to proc. And then even when you proc it, it's lackluster because it relies on you getting a lot of stacks. It goes so far that I think Electrocute is better. Yeah, the main thing is that Peanut is not a confident enough Grace player to play for those Dark Harvest stacks anyway. Because here, if this is Canyon and he has Dark Harvest, he's going to get Dark Harvest stack on this Lux. Holy, Zeka just missed Cannon. Here, this was very interesting from Piyoshik, right? This is Piyoshik taking a risk. If he wanted to play it safe, he would take the enemy jungle camps, save for the golems too, he would take topside crab and then maybe sniff for a gank on Ornn. Looking at the wave state top, it looks like there could be an opportunity there. Gragas can fight back to make sure it doesn't crash, but Piyoshik is thinking, okay, my bot lane matchup is in a position where the enemy is stacking a wave. If my bot lane gets dove on this, the game would be over. And if I manage to kill enemy bot lane here because they will not expect a gank, because I will avoid all of their vision and go through river, then I can also just win the game on the spot. Yeah? So Piyoshik here waits for the cannon to die. He like doesn't catch it. He dodges all the wards. He goes through here. Peanut is finishing his Gromp, and Peanut is chilling, you know? He's going to take Wolves into Crab. He's never expecting Piyoshik to cross here. So, as we can see, this wave is slow pushing towards these guys, as I mentioned before. They froze the 3 ranged minions into the cannon, and then they jump in here, and this was a beautiful gank. Lehens is very far pushed forward, and this should be a gank. Battle with the slow here and the preemptive flash. And right now Lehens is dead. He's dead on my screen. He's dead. Piyoshik just kind of gives up here. He doesn't expect death to chunk him. How good was DRX and scrims? I think they were decent. I didn't think they were that strong macro-wise, but individually I think they were strong. I think that they were good at playing 3v3 around bottom side, which was something that we didn't do that well at World. So here, Beriel does a good play with the E. The E was gorgeous. Here Piyoshik is dead. Like, this guy is just dead. He has no flash. He has the button on him. He just doesn't expect this full Caitlyn Q damage on the guy, right? He backs off. In a world where this guy dies, this would have been crazy good for the game. But instead it turns around and we have a different situation and Ruler just finds a kill. So from a situation where Piyoshik does a brilliant gank, dodging all of the wards, and they manage to find themselves on bottom side, then this would have been like this was game breaking, you know. But instead it's the other way around. Varus getting a kill, he gets the best base he could have imagined, and Piyoshik's brilliancy here to outplay Peanut is a disaster. Because here in this spot, keep in mind, we talked about how Piyoshik didn't take the topside camps. He's 12 CS against 20 CS. Peanut farmed during this entire time, Piyoshik didn't farm, and he's in big trouble. Here Peanut can capitalize. He can create a tempo advantage here that will just completely, you know, springboard race ahead. So we're just gonna watch now how Peanut plays it. First he attacks the Raptors. Kindred is on golems, he knows it. He can cross now through mid, chunk the Ahri. Chovy gonna TP back. So here, Peanut should do his Raptors. This is fine too. Ahri needs to base right, Silas has advantage, taking the crab is also... I think he should have done... He's doing correct. Going for the crab is correct. Very good actually. I think in this spot Graves should only do Raptors. I think you skip Golems, you do Golems after base. He still didn't base. This will probably make him late for enemy Raptors. I think you need to recreate a situation here where you reinvade enemy Raptors, because he has item advantage. Here bot lane became very hard because he has Tyr and serrated Dirk the Varus. That shifts the matchup completely. Now this is the dream base if you're playing Lethality Varus against Kate Lux. 1Q just changes the whole thing. Now the main thing here, what you want to achieve, is that you, as Graves, you want to reinvade enemy Raptors. Because he's much stronger, has Dirk against double longsword, and he leverages strength. Here Piyoshik wasted a lot of time again. It's not so easy to set up a gank as Kate Lux if, of course, the enemy team is the one stacking a wave. Caitlyn Lux can never pass that wave, they'll go get chunked to shit, they can't like flash Q or set up anything. Here Piyoshik wasted a little bit of time, he didn't have camp spawning, so he just went for it, right? Epina is just doing wolves, getting carried by his bot lane, doesn't need to do anything. Nice R flash here by Doran, but it doesn't end up being a kill. Let's see now if Peanut manages to actually take the Raptors. I don't think he does. I think here Peanut should have just gone into mid and pressed on mid instead. There's a pink ward there and he could have impacted mid. I was thinking here as well that they could potentially one-shot Beryl. Like here, if Peanut dashes forward, W Qs, they get an empowered Varus Q on the Lux when she's rooted, I think she's one-shot. Really. I think they one-shot Lux here. A little Dark Harvest proc in the bank, did he get it? I don't even know if he got it. I don't think he got it. Oh, he missed Q. He didn't get it. No Dark Harvest. Yeah, like imagine a world here where instead of Graves oinking on bottom side, he just steps into river right now. He impacts mid. Mid situation is very volatile, you know? Ahri is Silas is low HP. I don't know how Silas got as fucked as he is. Like, I don't know what the fuck is happening mid. Because right now Chovy has ult on, and then all of a sudden he doesn't anymore. Like somehow Chovy got fucked. Like he got shit on right now. I don't know what happened here. Like look at the conditions of Chovy right here. He has a potion, he's full HP, he's in good conditions. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. He takes Ahri ult. I don't know, he E's in, R's in, he gets rooted, get charmed, he's tanking the whole menu wave. What the fuck? Look at Chovy. What's Chovy doing? What the fuck? What is this? This is disastrous. Look how big the wave is. Look at this. Right now, brilliant conditions. Now he all-ins into a wave. Chovy, the minions. You love the minions. This is very bad. This is terrible, in fact. He lost lane in the 4 games. I think game 1 he didn't lose lane. Going even with Silas is very good. First game, I don't think he lost lane. But here, this decision is very bad. I don't know what this all-in was. Like, we are working with very limited information, right? But I see a Silas in very good conditions. But here you see a man all-inning. Look how many minions there are there. He's getting destroyed by the minions. Oh, wow. This all-in is terrible. Because imagine a world where he doesn't do this all-in. And then you can actually reinvade the Raptors and be on time. Yeah, the main thing... So here, Baku, right? I thought that Graves doesn't have time to do golems and his bot side camps and be on time on Raptors. Because he needs to be there when they spawn. So Kindred doesn't have the option of doing them on spawn. But here, Chovy catches that wave and then all is fine. What's gonna happen? That's crazy. That's so crazy. And now I understand. Yeah, Peanut can't do anything here. Peanut cannot invade Raptors. Mid is too fucked. Mid is turbo fucked. He can't invade Raptors. He can't. He's standing here because he doesn't have options. Now it makes more sense what Peanut is doing. I'm not gonna answer shit like this triggered video, your name is. Yeah, I think Karma could have hovered earlier to help him. Ooh. Yeah, this situation here, right? Like, Peanut going for this bottom gank, and then the hand's not hovering. Like, this is a mistake, right? Yeah, Baku, we're having like a conversation figuring out what is the best, right? Where we're trying to figure it out together. Like, the first thing that I said, right, was wrong. I thought he doesn't have time to do golems. But he does have time to do golems, so 100% he should do golems, right? Because the respawn of the golems adds up. In my mind, the only thing I'm thinking about is how can he set up a situation where he can invade enemy Raptors? Because if he manages to do that, he can deny potential level 6 for Kindred towards Herald, which is a big deal. And then maybe he can invade the spawn of blue, leveraging his level 6 advantage. Something like this, right? And that's important, right? That's crucial. But here I think Karma, like, even though obviously Peanut could have played the situation better, I think Karma should hover. Hayden's already out, they can't contest bot wave, Varos is on his own, I don't know what Karma is doing. Karma should be helping her own. The new Kindred was here, right? Because Kindred just cleared out pink, Karma should be on mid together with Peanut. Peanut maybe can win the situation, I'm not sure, like, I don't know if the smite situation is bugged. Like here, I think Peanut just doesn't have smite, so he just can't do anything. Doesn't have smite. And then Lehan's here is very late. He's very late. Like, Lehan's could have been here. Graves ganked bot. Like, now in hindsight, right? Looking at all the information. First I said Graves shouldn't be bot. But Graves has no option. Mid got completely fucked. He should be bot. Because he needs to try to set up a case in bot where his 2-pot can come first to mid, to the crab. That's the thing he has to play for. He spent time bot, they chunked the enemy together. Chovy completely griefed his lane here. And then Graves steps into river. He has nothing else to do, he's just waiting for crab. And then he impacts bot in a way where Karma should be able to move. And then regardless of how you can play this different, you can chunk more or do something more, sure, doesn't matter. Here, Karma needs to move. Karma needs to move. Karma needs to move with Graves right now onto the crab. They need to leverage man advantage. And then the same thing, right? They are going for this solo kill play. Karma is still not helping. Kindred is invading Graves here because Kindred is still seeing Karma on bot tower. Like, Karma could have been here. Karma could have been here and showed their strength, but Karma is hitting bot tower for spell thief stacks. And now Karma is coming. Like, what did Karma accomplish here? Like, of course, Peanut managed to get his blue. Piyoshik got pushed out, but all in all, like Karma had a window to move much earlier, and she could have potentially impacted the crab situation in a way where Piyoshik got pushed out and would have been denied the crab. And then imagine you had a situation, Graves is 53 CS against 28 still, and he's double farm of kindred. Yeah, I don't know. This all-in was very bad from Chovy. Very bad. Yeah, I think, you know, I'm rewatching the game to get a clearer opinion about what happened, so I can make a more accurate, you know, prediction coming into the finals. And the main thing that we saw on screen was often Peanut's interactions with Piyoshik. So a lot of our commentary was centered around that. This all-in in mid, I didn't see it happening when it was live. I didn't see it. Obviously, it's so much easier to look at it now after everything goes down and so forth. This was a very big mistake. Very big mistake. Here they burn Ornuld, but in reality, here in my mind, here Silas bases first, okay? I don't think this conversation matters, good guy Greg. Like, we don't know if it was his uncle that told him to play this way. Like, we don't need to speculate. Like, what's the point? We're looking at decisions, we're looking at gameplay. To speculate who said what is a completely useless and losing game. So, we don't spend time nor effort thinking about this, because we will never know. So here, Silas bases first. Right? Ari is gonna catch this and then base after. Which means we're in a situation where Silas will have a tempo advantage, and also Doran on top lane already has a tempo advantage. So in my mind here, you do red buff with Graves, you just take whatever camp you need to take in order to make sure that you're level 6. Like first and foremost here, the fact that Piyoshik gets away with this is a bit crazy. So first this invade was mental, then Karma hovers into mid, and then somehow, you know, we have the spawn of a kindred mark on the Raptor as he's walking in here. He has the cooldown down, and I believe that the mark spawns, if I remember correctly, while kindred is doing it. Here we have Graves just pushing this, because he did get a mark here. You see it improving. It spawned on the Raptors while he was doing it, and Peanut just pushed out mid. So Piyoshik just took this time to take it. And now, of course, he knows that Piyoshik needs to go and do his own camps. Here, Peanut reaches level 6. What should Peanut do? He should dash over the wall and just fucking do the Rift Herald right now. This is the time to do Rift Herald. I think Ornn should push this wave. Hover. Graves starts the Herald. Ari is basing. Silas comes out on the map. There's no way for DRX in here. I really don't understand. He has full mana, HP. I think he cancels, no? I think he cancels. Yeah, he cancels. So here, imagine Ornn just pushes the wave. Graves dashes over the wall, leashes it. Look how much earlier Silas is. Silas is first, right? Because Ari caught the wave. Silas can push that wave first and then walk towards Herald, or just walk straight to Herald and catch the wave. Because Silas has tempo advantage. Also, Ornn had tempo advantage. But instead what happens, right? Which is a very big deal. Here, they go top to gank. They had perfect conditions to do Herald before, like Graves could be on it right now and Ornn could have already pushed the wave he was pushing. But he just wasted time. Imagine here, Ornn starts pushing the wave instant. He just starts fucking pushing, he saves his spells here and then burns his wave, okay? He burns this wave like a motherfucker, okay? He burns it. He just uses all of his spells on it, goes towards Herald. Graves dashes over with his level 6 here after these raptors, and then they just started. Ari is basing now, while Silas is already in base. Silas has mercs, which means he has boots too, and then we go. What did you order from Amazon? What are you talking about? But instead what happens, right? Now, we have ult for ult top. Graves is showing. Here Kindred is basing. Just keep in mind, she didn't base. She was double longsword against Serrated Dirt. Didn't base, okay? Bases. Ari is back on the map. Ornn has a little bit of a tempo swing here, but he presses B. And now there's a ward on pink as well. They are starting Herald, while Ornn is basing on a ward. And Peanut is doing this on a ward. He's doing it on a ward. And now Ari is back on the map. Now it's Ari that has a tempo swing, Ornn is in base, and Gragas is top. They have pink ward on the Herald, and they saw Ornn base. So Ornn is not even hovering, he's basing on a ward. And this was a terrible blunder. Big mistake. Because this game was very difficult for enemy bot lane to play. Very difficult. But this swing that they get from the Rift Herald really opens up the game. Really opens up the game. Because look now. Now it's the opposite. Ari has tempo. Somehow Chovy lost all of his HP mid. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. Like here Chovy is just tanking all of the minions. I really don't know what Chovy is doing here. Like Chovy is trying to think what Peanut is doing. Like here, this cooperation that we see on the screen is very bad. Like here Chovy is trying to posture to make Ari not go for his Peanut. But Peanut is doing Rift Herald where it's not his time. Kindred can definitely get banned. Kindred is Piyoshik's go-to champ. Ornn is strong on the Herald fight. Yeah, he could have been. If they did it at the timer that I mentioned. Right? This is the crucial timer. You have a situation where your mid laner bases first. He gets a push out from Graves, right? Graves now takes Raptors, finishes Raptors to get level 6. He saw Piyoshik is level 5, he should know that he's level 5. But it doesn't even matter, because Ornn has Prio. Silas also has Prio, and he can just dash over the wall and leash it. Ornn would have pushed this wave, hovered all the way for Ornn, and Silas just goes straight from base, he just right-clicks Herald and he'll be there before Ari. And then if the enemy comes, they Ornn ult into one-tap a guy. Okay? Instead what happens, right, is Gragas catches this big-ass wave. Ornn bases on a ward, and for some reason, Chovy is tanking all of the minions. What is this? Like, look at Chovy right now. Chovy has good conditions in the lane. He's playing against no potions. And then here, I believe he just ease into the minion wave. What on earth, man? He just ease into the minion wave and loses all of his HP. What? What is this? Look at his conditions. What is that? I didn't see this when I was live viewing. That is crazy. That is nuts. I didn't see this when I was watching live. What's happening to him? I just saw the conditions suddenly. Oh, Zeka is 30 CS ahead. He doesn't want the tower to take the CS. Yeah, like this is... It's like, how you do the Herald is a team thing. But it's like, mechanically, Peanut played fucking bad. But in terms of where he was good. So, for example, the bot play could have played better. Maybe the crab situation could play better, but he had no smite. So it was a losing situation. But there he got sold by his karma. Here he gets sold by his Ornn. And he started the Herald on the completely wrong timer. So this we can blame him for, right? Because he decides to start the Herald. We don't care if someone says... we don't care. Jakob, I have 100 ping. Really? Oh, what the fuck? Sorry, Lena, the fucking Apex that just started downloading for... I'm turning off Steam. Sorry, Angel. I didn't know Steam was downloading. Very good, sweet. Thank you very much for your Prime. Thank you. DRX seems strong because of Genji's mistake? No. Yeah. Imagine a case where Kindred ganks bot twice, gets nothing, takes a crab, invades enemy blue, gets nothing, steals away a raptor, is level 5 on Herald timer, didn't base yet, bases and still gets Herald. It is illegal. It is illegal, this sequence. Completely illegal for semifinals, in my opinion. But Piyoshik has the mental of a mountain. He just comes back in, he secures the Herald, and he's back in the game. It's like guys, if this is the condition of the game, if we scroll back, if this is the condition of the game, okay, before this crab, and I see that my Graves is 44 CS to 28, and like this is so rough. We can go back further, right? This would be the timer. Here. This looks horrible, the condition of the game. But then we saw the Chovy all in on mid, which was disastrous, and then as well on the Herald, where he like tanks all the minions and gets chunked to shit. Like this is just bad play. And then Karma didn't hover for him. Karma didn't help him at all. Played for spell thief stacks on the turret, and now he cancels his own base to push the guy out, and he's just helping around mid here to make sure the pushing happens, and that's that. Nah, this was insane what we saw here, guys. This is really crazy. This is very bad. I don't know, Zeka, like here, what Chovy is doing is nuts, man. Crazy. Like I'm harping on this, but this was wow. This was just wow. I can understand it. Like if I play Devil's Advocate here, right? If I play Devil's Advocate, okay, Peanut is doing Rift Herald, he's just trying to push her so Peanut doesn't die. I get that, but then he eats into the wave, okay? And he's trying to overcorrect, you know? He even got charmed because it was the easiest charm to land ever because he eat into the wave. Just eat into the wave. Then the charm is the easiest thing to hit, you know? Imagine that. Actually, this is kind of nuts. I'm not gonna lie. Your Graves is coming into bot doing Wolves and Gromp, and your wave is coming, and Genji bot lane takes Gromp. This is kind of nuts. I'm not gonna lie. This is kind of fucked up. Your Graves is coming into bot side doing Wolves and Gromp, and then wants to contest Crab. They just took the Gromp away from him. That's kind of crazy. Not gonna lie, this is crazy. Chovy's getting completely smacked here on mid because of this fucking one trade that he took. He has no threat of all-in. He loses all threat of all-in, has ult on cooldown, he can't steal away from Ari, and here are the DRX monsters. They are coming down. This is a very nice play. Very nice. I like this. This is a juicer. Ragas, look what the king is. He just gives up his top wave, roams into mid, denies enemy dragon play, and he plays on the timer of Caitlyn Lux base. This is what I like about DRX. They might sometimes, you know, leave a little bit more to desire in terms of what you want to achieve, but all in all, you know, they're always together in their decisions and they play around their timings well. And then now, I don't remember what happened. Graves actually gets away with doing the dragon. Like, this is insanely dangerous. Like, if they hovered into him earlier, Peanut just gets it right. Yeah, smite. Look at the smite cooldown of Peanut. Bro, imagine they came here earlier. This would have been such a disaster, beyond proportion. But to be fair, it would have been a good summary of how the series went down. Because here, right? Varus and Karma, they push in all the way. Karma still didn't base because she went on the merry-go-round with her team. And all in all, Graves, they are hovering the Varus Karma, but they want to press B. Like they could hit it a little bit more, you know? But they are just leashing it and piecing out. Imagine a world here. It's like that they are taking this one tower. Imagine they just went earlier towards this Drake. Like, this is crazy, man. What's the thought process behind first strike this game? You play first strike Q max on Silas in matchups where you're not gonna get value out of Conqueror. This is perfectly normal. Like, you look to Q and you look to poke with Q because if you ever find yourself in a position, like, it's very hard against RA to look for ease and look for all-ins and look for value out of W. So the adaptation has been that people play first strike into the range matchups. You get extra gold in your pocket, and then later on, if you do a full combo with Silas, you get a lot of gold because a lot of his burst is up front, right? You E, Q, W, proc Q, like, this is a lot of the burst is up front. So first strike is good here. First strike is definitely not the issue because Conqueror is not going to be that great in Ari. It just isn't. Okay? You could say that with Ari ult, if that's the ult that you want to steal, you can play Conqueror, but that's not going to be like such an easy game to play. All in all, playing Silas against Caitlyn, Lux, Kindred is not so easy. I'm going to mention that too. Like, this is one of the cases where Silas is maybe a little bit weaker in the game because the ults aren't super exciting. Okay, so we bring back the conversation about Peanut here. Fucking bro, Peanut doesn't have smite. Like, look how lucky he is. Like, here, he's just waiting for his smite. Like, this guy is like Piyoshik also doesn't have smite. The guy is I don't know when they use smite, but both of them don't have smite. Like, this is insanity, dude. Like, look, Peanut, he gets smite. He gets smite at 18 HP. He smites. How crazy is that? Imagine he loses Drake here. This was so awkward. His team abandons him, meaning Karma and Baros are just base and they just want to play with fog information, but DRX went through mid and they could have potentially crossed here earlier. Imagine a world where they don't look to get the second crash. Like, imagine they go now. Instead of looking for the second crash here, they just peace out. Yeah, but that information wasn't available when they locked in Silas. When they locked in Silas, they saw a Caitlyn and they picked Graves. So they can expect Kindred and Lux, right? But the Gragas ult is not a part of the equation because it's very hard to say, I'm gonna pick Silas here on 1-2 because we know they're gonna pick Gragas for 5. But that's not really going to be a line of thought. Could be that they go Gragas, and you can consider it, but to guarantee it is hard. Yeah, it was probably so that Zega doesn't get it. Yeah, they did it the first game. It worked the first game, right? Perfectly fine. But with Caitlyn in the game, it changes the power of Silas. In the first game, there was no Caitlyn, right? As you can see here, Genji first picked Silas. The enemy team picked Sejuani. Already a fantastic ultimate. Az's ultimate, also a really good ultimate. Already Silas has very different value. Enemy goes Misfortune Soraka. Soraka ultimate, not that bad for Silas. Right? It always depends on what other champions are the strongest in the meta, right? If people think that Sejuani jungle is the strongest, which is a very common line of thought at this World Championship, then Silas becomes stronger. Silas has synergy with Sejuani, and also has a great fucking ult if the enemy picks Sejuani away. So here, the DRX are like, do we pick Sejuani away, or do we give it away to Peanut? This is what they're thinking here, right? And that's not super easy. Okay, we continue. So already know, right? They took a full tower, the Rift Herald situation gave them the full tower on mid, which makes the game even more awkward to play. Here, Peanut didn't get his Dark Harvest proc again. No Dark Harvest proc. Unfortunate. No Dark Harvest proc the whole game. He bases for his lethality item, perfectly fine. Now DRX's bot lane is playing. So the issue for DRX's bot lane, right? They have kindred jungle. They have kindred jungle, and they're playing Caitlyn Lux and lose push. It's not a situation you can solve on bot. Kindred cannot pressure this lane. Kindred needs setup. Kindred needs a Nautilus or a Leona to ult the guy so Kindred can come and collect. This is a very awkward. Like if you compare this game for Kindred, right? Kindred is going to be more of a defensive champ later on to just ult the Kate when she gets all in, and they can play around the Caitlyn range pocket. But in terms of lane, the only contribution Piyoshik could do was what he did early game, right? He found a very clever gank to cut the Varus and Karma in half, but they didn't get the kill, which was very unfortunate. Instead, Beryl managed to die to a fucking comet, right? If you look at this game, like there was a game here, this game where they picked. Imagine a world where Ahri didn't get these big trades on Silas, where Graves and his topside team set up the Rift Herald much better, and they actually got the Rift Herald. Imagine they are the ones to put the Herald on bot, and they can accelerate this game with the Varus with this itemization. It would have changed everything, because Caitlyn would have not found Mythic Gold for so long in this game, and they would have pressured the whole map. Now they're trading map side. Here I didn't like that Graves is in bottom side. I think Graves could have been top side here with Varus and Karma and potentially contested this crab and then play with the top wave to invade into the top side. But instead you have an opposite situation where Graves is doing blue and Varus and Karma are the ones that need to be sprayed. So this feels like a very awkward lane swap, right? So they lane swap, but then they realize we can't lane top because we can't put wards and we have to be scared to put wards. Ahri has prio and she can hover into top and our jungler is bottom side. So this lane swap was very bad. Because the timer when Varus Karma based as well, they didn't get any items. Because look here, they base with Varus Karma and Ornn goes straight bot. Caitlyn Lux stay on bot, and I think here they should have continued to pressure. I don't like that Graves gets spotted again on this pink ward. Over and over again, and they don't clear it. Like, he just didn't see this pink twice. I believe he gets spotted on it. He just doesn't clear it. He has a good item. We saw it also when he pulled the Herald, right? So this lane spot is very bad. If you have no plans of invading enemy topside jungle, you should keep your bot where your jungler wants to path. Okay, Silas bases, and Karma Varus, they are lost on the map. Look how disconnected they are, GENG. There's no way they're going to dive the Ornn. Ornn is very fed. He has 110 CS, he has Mythic. This Caitlyn Lux can't do anything. They cannot dive him. They can't put... It's gonna be... If they dive him with 4, maybe they can. Maybe they can. I just don't like this display. I think Varus Karma shouldn't have based. He should have played bot. He based. What was the reason to base? To get refresh of wards on Karma. Right? They based for refresh wards of Karma, and they based for the CDR boots of Varus. If Graves crosses into bottom side here, does his bot side camps, and they keep sieging bot, would have been a better game. But here there's this whole sequence where Varus and Karma are much stronger, but they can't pressure. Instead, they are going into top side here. Graves is bottom side. Piyoshik enters river, and he just smites it away. They push one top wave, and then they can't hit the top tower. Look, Ahri, Lux, everybody's hovering. They are in trouble. They're just looking to base. And this is valuable plating hitting time. Okay? They base and go straight back into top. Caitlyn Karma get to steal another wave, and the Deft is getting closer and closer to his mythic. That was the window where we wanted, as GENG, they wanted to keep him in. They wanted to keep him in that spot where he doesn't have mythic. Because of course Gefo is going to be a big deal. You can dodge very key spells against this bot lane combo. Varus ult, Varus Q, then maybe you have some more potential in a fight that can occur. DRX are doing the good decision of playing through mid. Piyoshik should not go through his bot ever. He should just play through mid. You have a mid tower gone. Zeka has item advantage. He is much stronger. He has a solid 1k gold advantage on laner. So any decision that Piyoshik should do, and he should go through mid. Herald don't have the quest at 13. Very normal. This lane matchup, if you are the one with spell thieves and the enemy base is on serrated Dirk and tier, you are fucked. You're just fucked. The only way for them to pressure the Varus and the Karma is through the process of making sure they have prio and then hover with Ahri, so Caitlyn can farm under her tower without getting barraged with spells from the Varus. But here, Karma has good good vision, and they're spotting the Ahri, so Ruler is playing with it with the information that he has. Poking away. Left right now, he's pinging his Gale Force money. He's like, should I sell my item to get Gale Force? Do I have Gale Force gold? He's asking himself, he's like, oh, do I have Gale Force gold? Yes, I have Gale Force gold, guys. Good fucking job. Did he sell something? He didn't sell anything. Yes, guys, I have Gale Force. I'm coming out on the map. We lose the first tower, we would have lost it anyway because I had no fucking HP. Yes, thumbs up. DRX, mental gods. Very strong mental. Deft. Many players, they would see this 40 CS gap and they would be like, oh fuck man, fuck this game. But they don't care. That's what's so fucking beautiful about DRX, I feel. Is no matter the condition of the game, they seem to always, be aware, oh, we can win, we have to look for this, we can find our timings. Very good. Somehow in a game where Piyoshik was very far behind in gold, where Caitlyn's very far behind, now they're sitting on mythic items. Nothing too shabby. Fuck.
Bruh. Bruh. Bruh.
Alright, it works again. So the main thing you look for now is Varus Karma. They are overstaying for the top lane tower. Not overstaying, but it becomes overstaying if you think about the context of course, the Drake. Dragon matters here. So in all honesty here, right? What you need to look for, if Ruler and Lehens decide to stay top to hit the tower, it's important that Ornn sacrifices his own tempo to base and go top. So he starts pushing the moment Varus and Karma want to base. Because otherwise, if you make Varus push this next wave that's coming, it means now he needs to base and the enemy team will be able to take position. Imagine a situation where Ornn was already pushing the top wave, Silas would go into mid, Varus would already base, Varus would catch mid, and then they would contest this Drake. But now because Varus didn't base, his tempo is completely fucked. Caitlyn is now catching this. She can potentially cancel the Varus. She didn't cancel him. Caitlyn's gonna push here, and then she can walk into the Drake area. Varus is very essential here. What is tempo? Tempo is basically, if you're on tempo, means that you're ready to fight and you spent your gold. You are in optimal conditions to fight. Sometimes if you're monster fed, you don't need to be based to be on tempo because you're so strong, right? Sometimes you are weaker without the gold that you have spent, and sometimes you don't have mana nor HP to stay. So it means you have to base, which means that you're behind on tempo because you need to spend time to make yourself ready to fight. Here, Caitlyn based, she sacrificed the tower, she sacrificed one wave too, she sacrificed this whole wave to be ahead on tempo. So she based now, comes out fresh, she has full HP, full mana spent all over gold, she is ahead of tempo of the Varus. Because Varus now is sitting on a solid amount of gold. He needs to base and go home. While Caitlyn is already on the map and active. So Caitlyn is ahead of tempo in contrast to her counterpart. Lux also based. She's trying to get her super item, but it's very hard. Yeah, you can play a game, and then we can meet up. So of course, DRX commit into bottom side to set up their Herald, which means like DRX set up very hard onto the bottom side, which means that GENG has the entry on the top side. So we TP top to create a situation where he pushes ahead of time. This was very strange that GENG gave up their position. Because here I think Varus, I think the moment you leash the rift, I think it's better to commit with Varus all the way here. And I think Ornn can start walking on mid if you're in a spot where you are going to go to the Herald. Right? Because here I don't like that Ruler puts himself in a position where he gets cut off. Because here, look how much GENG is splitting. They're leashing the Herald, Silas is going for top wave, Karma is in between, Varus is on mid wave when he can't contest the mid wave. This is very bad play by GENG. They have full position, okay? So here, Silas needs to walk down. Walk down, Silas. Silas, come, group with your team. Varus, come, group with your team. Ornn, go through mid. And that pink is still there. Yes, the pink is still there, League of Ahmed. What's happening? The pink is still there. Fucking pink. This fucking pink, man. This fucking pink, bro. This pink is just OP. Like, it works. It works really well because Graves is not spotting this pink. I thought before this pink, I thought this pink was spotted, like he saw it, right? But the fact that Graves leashes the Herald on range, which means that the pink is just spotting the Herald, but it's behind the corner here. No, bro, this pink costs money in the shop. It's not free. There is no free fund of pinks in the shop. This is a Gragas pink. Can Graves not see that? He saw it before. But here, when he leeches it, he doesn't see it. I'm assuming. But yeah, looking at GENG here, guys. This is a very big problem. Ornn can walk on mid, right? Ornn can walk on mid, catch the mid wave, and DRX will not have the decision to push down mid, because they can get engaged on. The second thing is, I don't know here why Graves doesn't sweep. He doesn't sweep this bush, this pink, this ward here, this pink here is very bad. Because it allows DRX to make every decision they want. They are right now saying Varus is trolling. Is it pink or control ward though? What do you mean, bro? Pink and control ward is the same thing. Basically, pink ward is the very old name for it. Because in the past there was green wards and then there was pink wards. You could buy them in the shop. But now they changed its name to control. It's the same as when people say Ninja Tabi. It's an outdated name, but am I dumb? No. Pink ward is just a very old name. Pink ward is the name for control ward. It's the same. No one says plated steel guards. Everyone says plated steel caps. No one says this. People say Ninja Tabi because that was the name of the item for 7 years. I still say pink too. So here they didn't sweep, this ward spotted Karma, Varus is on midwave. Why is Varus on midwave? He's here on midwave when he can't contest it. Imagine a world where Ornn walks down to mid. He's on mid. If Gragas pushes bot, he can just go catch bot or even TP bot after the play. He goes on mid, catches the wave. If Caitlyn, Lux, Ahri can't face check into here because Varus, Silas, Graves and Karma is here, they of course sweep this ward. The enemy can't face check here. They can't. They would face check here and they would die. So what would DRX's decision be? They would push down mid. Ornn is there and then people are in fog of war in this position. They can't siege mid because Ornn is gonna Ornn ult, and they're gonna be fucked. So they're gonna push mid wave and then hover into bot and threaten a dive onto Ornn. So what is GENG going to do after that? They're going to step into mid as 4 and then they're going to scatter into bottom side. Ornn will be very tricky to dive, and he's coming from an angle where 4 people on mid would take the prio and step into bot, because during all of this Gragas would of course push bot. They know that Gragas doesn't have TP. Do you guys understand the situation? So either there's no threat bot, the bot wave is going to be even. Gragas is on mid. Ornn is on mid too, he pushes the tower, they sweep this ward, Silas already pushed the wave neutrally on top, and they would group together, take this Herald, and enemy can't face check. They get hit by Varus ult, Karma Q, they get fucked, DRX is in a tough spot. They would have to give up the Herald, which is natural, which is very natural after what happened. This happened, the enemy team commit into Drake. When you commit into an objective, you sacrifice your tempo, right? You spend time to hit an objective, which means that the enemy will have a better position for whatever comes next. And in this case, it was the Rift Herald. They had priority to move into that area. But here, Varus is on mid wave for no fucking reason. Ornn is on bot wave for no fucking reason. Silas is pushing top wave. Silas pushing top wave is very good in the case where DRX show that they're not contesting. Okay? Let's say there's a situation where enemies are showing that they're not contesting Herald, then Silas should go and push top wave. Then it would be really good. Would be really, really good. Because they don't need that many people hitting Herald, right? Let's say there's a situation where the DRX think, okay, we can't contest the Herald, so we are simply going to hit that mid wave, catch it with Caitlyn, and then enter into bot side and threaten dive on enemy Ornn in trade for this Rift Herald. Let's say from this position, okay? From this position, Ahri, Kindred, Gragas step into enemy bot side, they push the wave and threaten dive on Ornn. Then Silas should just keep pushing top, because they have that information. They have full wards in the bot side jungle. But the moment DRX decide to not commit into bot side means that the enemy is matching. And when they're matching, you should hover for this play. You guys understand? Do you follow along? Okay. Good. So instead here, Genji, no one hovers, no one sweeps. Very bad. Very bad. And then Chovy here burns his Ahri ult. I think maybe it ran out cooldown. And then look how they are doing Herald. So fucking wonky. So what's going on here? You know, this to some degree still is kind of fine, right? Because Ornn has TP and they get away with it. But I don't like how they played this. They played it very dangerous. Look how much DRX space they took over this situation. Ornn has TP bot right, so it plays out just fine. But I really didn't like it. Now Gragas is catching, they know that Ornn has TP advantage, so DRX is very scared. And now it plays out fine. Yeah, they are stalling time. They are stalling time. But here... Okay, so in my mind here, after this happens, I think that they can push them out completely. But it just doesn't happen. In my mind here, if they wanted to, they take this over. Like right here, DRX should be stepping forward. Varus is out of position, Karma is out of position. They are the ones going to be in that spot that we talked about before. This is their timing to shine. Now Caitlyn is doing the mistake from before. I don't know why Caitlyn is here. Like here, they can push you together, right? Gragas is committing all the way mid, and they're sacking bot for this. So they should play the game. But they are not. But just because they don't, everything plays out well for Gen. Because here, when Silas pushes this top wave, right? He steals it, okay? He steals the top wave. Kindred is also, Kindred is also late, right? Like here, Kindred does her own red. But it's very hard for her to predict what mistakes are gonna occur, right? Very hard to predict that Genji is going to make this mistake. They're going to have this vision and so forth. But in a different situation, where Kindred is here, they will step into river, and this Silas will get chased off the map. Like this Silas will have to run all the way around. He will get completely fucked. But what happens is Silas gets to push this, and he gets to regroup with his team. And DRX don't get to attack him. And now this was the window for DRX. Because Varus was out of position and Gragas commit all the way, and the mid crashed. And Caitlyn could easily set up her traps. She could easily set up her trap, bam, 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 mid wave is far away, Varus would have to like face check here, and it will be very awkward. Yeah, but Peanut leashes the Herald. Here, they can just take it over, right? But Caitlyn is trolling. In my opinion. But if they don't do Herald on this timer, then it reverses again. DRX is in... Now, if we look at it from this point, now DRX is in a pickle. Now DRX is in a big pickle, how it played out. Now DRX's position is completely losing. Now it's really fucking bad. Because there's an Ornn bot that's pushing. Gragas needs to catch. Like Gragas sacrificed himself. Like Gragas went with his team for so long. Like look. He doesn't go bot. Doesn't go bot. Doesn't go bot. Ornn. Look, Gragas is just chilling here. Gragas is now pushing the Varus out. Now this is DRX's time. They should aggro the Herald off of the graves right now, and they should commit to this all the way. And this Herald is gone. Tell me it isn't. They finish this Herald right now. Varus is in Zimbabwe here. And Karma is having coffee in South Africa. And everything here is happening in Egypt. Yeah, I should stop saying random countries. Yeah, they could have. But instead what happens, right? The DRX don't take their opportunity. The Herald is deleted. And now, if I'm Gragas, I'm sad about this. I wasted all of my time and we did nothing. We did nothing, guys. I have to go bot. I need to catch these minions because Ornn is gonna take our Nexus. And he has TP. I have to go bot. Now DRX have to give up everything. Now I have to give up everything. Right? Ori also had to catch top, to be fair, yes. But the window is very precise, right? Both Herald situations that we talked about, the windows were very important. Very precise windows. Okay? Very important windows that occurred. Very important, because the window where you can leash the Herald, it's like a 15-second window every time. If you don't take Herald, start Herald in that moment, your map will begin to fall apart for it. We saw it on the first Herald too, right? First Herald, we talked about it. You have a window where Ornn has a tempo advantage. Here, if Ornn was pushing this wave instead of channeling base, because he's full HP, full mana, doesn't need to base. He can push that wave. Silas is basing ahead of Ahri. Ahri is catching. He knows Kindred's level 5. Now is the window to do Herald without the enemy having any chance of contesting. Because your mid lane is going to be there first, if there's going to be a fight, and Ornn has prio. But then, if you don't, it reverses, right? It reverses. Here it reverses very quick. Because Ahri is stronger than Silas, and she's going to contest for the push. She killed this wave. Kindred is coming out of base now fresh with 6, even though she is 14 CS behind, has less gold. She spent her gold, has better conditions than the Graves, because of course he's playing Dark Harvest too, so Kindred is very happy to walk out on the map. Gragas now comes out on the map with fresh items, right? Because he based when Ornn was fresh, and now he's coming out spending more gold, and then Ornn matched the base, because he lost a lot of HP on top lane gank, right? And now it reverses. Now DRX is aware, yo, I have mid prio, I have Gragas prio, I'm gonna pull the Herald, because the enemy can't contest it in this window. But if they didn't do this Herald in this window, then it also reverses on the back end. Of course, it depends on the matchups, especially earlier on. It depends on bot lane too. But now it reverses. The window for both teams to do Herald was very narrow here. It shifted very fast. The same thing later. Same thing later. Same thing later here. Here, if they take it over right now, it would have been gorgeous. Very good. Imagine a world here where they take it over, Gragas is on mid, Varus can't join here. Can't. He cannot. Simply can't. Varus can't join. Silas, like if they want to fight all out, you know, it's not super easy to break through. Okay? They would have to maybe TP behind on a ward that maybe Silas can place. He doesn't have a ward, something like this. You know, it's crazy. It's also the fact that, you know, what Silas did only works because Kindred decided to go on her camps. But here, Piyoshik obviously makes a mistake. Look at him. He jumps over. He jumps over, and then he realizes, oh fuck, I shouldn't be here. He doesn't even do his camp. He sprints. When in reality, he could be where Gragas is right now. They could cross mid, and they would push all of these guys out. And then if this guy tries to go for that wave, maybe he can RE ultra out, right? So it's a very specific case. But Kindred here wastes time. But like, she's jumping towards her red, because a lot of junglers are like that. They're like moths. In the camps that spawn, they're little lights, you know? And they're just like a moth. Just fucking to the light. Boonk, boonk. You have to fucking fly to the light. Yeah? This is how it is when you're jungling sometimes. You have to fly to the light. Because as I mentioned before, you could take a different decision here if you're DRX. You could decide to enter into here, you can maybe threaten dive on Ornn, but it's not so easy. Ornn is tanky. You could also decide that Gragas goes, pushes bot, they catch, and they give up Herald. They give up Herald. That's okay, right? That could have been a decision. But they decide, okay, GENG is fucking trolling. Let's fucking enter here. Okay, Kindred is coming. I'm following the call. Okay? Toby steals the wave, okay? He steals the wave. Just because he steals the wave and nothing happens to him, it's perfectly fine to play. But in a world where they take over the Herald here, Yapina does a good job of like pulling it away, you know? Seems that both teams have pretty obvious windows where they can take Rift, or is this just in review? Yeah, they have windows. Obvious, it's subjective if it's obvious or not, right? It's always easier to point it out in review, right? Because these things are very narrow, you know? And a lot of things need to be in place at the same time. It's very easy to be like Captain Hindsight here in review and say, wow, they didn't know this. No, I don't view it like this. Like a lot of our conversations in the split was around Rift Herald timers. Because there's so many things that affected. Top lane, mid lane, bot lane, all of these things affected. Jungle XP, jungle camps. A lot of things affect the Rift Herald timer. It's a very important thing to figure out and to put in place. It's not that straightforward to be like, oh, these guys are bad, they can't do Herald. I would never talk like this. I don't like talking like this, right? Because there's a lot at play, okay? In review, it's much easier to say, right? Much easier to say because we can pause, we can analyze, we can look at things, we have a very easy overview, right? But these players have to keep track of many things. We have to keep track of cooldowns, of summoners, and we just have it accessible to us. Whenever we are looking at the screen, we can pause and look at all of the information. They need to carry that information, operate their champ at the same time, and they need to coordinate with the team to assess these windows. It's a lot more difficult in-game, right? And we have to have respect for that, right? When I think that the mistake is individual and much more harsh, you can see that I'm talking in a very different manner, right? How Chovy traded in mid lane this game was very bad, right? But we continue. We talked about this Herald enough. Yeah, this was a decent play here from Chovy. Decent play, because this could have been a solo kill. So props to him, you know. But we give props where it's deserved, right? Like this is a good all-in timer. They know that Kindred is into bottom side. Like this, looking for this all-in is good. This is good. Is it even humanly possible that Genji baited DRX with the first Herald pull to get bot tower? The moment Ornn decides to go into bottom side and Varus doesn't commit, they've made that decision that they're not doing Herald at that point in time. So if that's how they thought, then they are really smart, okay? But I once again, I repeat it again, but I don't like speculating about what was the plan, what was not, you know? Looking at that, mid has prio, top has prio, and junglers level ahead are enough strong points to start it almost every time. Being stronger allows you to set up the Herald. Okay? It should put you in position to set up the Herald. But if the enemy has position and tempo, it doesn't matter sometimes how much stronger you are. Especially when the comps are so polarizing, right? Whoever needs to Piyoshik into who is going to be in a better position. If this right side team needs to break through Caitlyn traps and Lux and Gragas battles, it's not so easy, right? They need to find a flank maybe with Silas, with an Ornn ult, and then maybe Graves needs to be in fog of war to one-shot someone with Silas to break through such a position, right? It's not black and white. It's not black and white. For example, in that situation, on the first Herald, in theory, Ahri has prio mid, right? In theory. Ahri has prio mid, she had better conditions than the Silas. So in theory, they should have more windows to set it up. But what Silas could do is, he could just decide to give up one wave and base before the Herald. And then maybe Ahri needs to stick around on the map, she pushes one more wave and bases later. All of a sudden, the Silas that is theoretically weaker gave up something to be on better tempo. It also happened on the Drake, right? On the Drake that happened, Caitlyn based and Varus spent his tempo, so he was spending his tempo here by staying and hitting, right? And this is a very natural thing to do because he's gaining something, right? Caitlyn's basing for Gale Force, had no HP, and she got fucked. But what happens in this sequence is that Caitlyn will have better tempo than Varus, okay? In a world here, where Varus, even though he's stronger, he still needs to base, right? It's like when you grow up, right? We had this neighbor, okay? We had this neighbor who always lied to everybody. He said, everybody, I have Charizard, okay? He said he has a Charizard. And I was like, show it. Why don't you show it your Charizard, right? And he said to us, I can't take it outside. I'm not allowed to take it outside. I was like, fuck off, man. At that point, it didn't matter that he had Charizard at home. It would only be relevant if Charizard was visual to us. That's weirdly specific, Yamato. No, because it happened. This was our neighbor, Our neighbor, his name was Dixon, he lied about having this Charizard. At that point, he could have 500 Charizards, but just because he didn't bring them outside, it wasn't relevant to us. No matter how many Charizards he had at home, it just didn't matter to us. So if you're much stronger than the enemy, as you mentioned before, right? Looking at mid prior, topest prior, jungler's level head are enough strong points to start it. If you are not on tempo and you are not on the map, doesn't matter how strong you are in many cases. Obviously, if you're absurdly strong and you don't give a shit and you can just walk in and eat all of these luck spells and whatever and just fucking walk in and still win the fight, sometimes you're that ahead, right? That all the rules of the game just fucking break. You're 15k gold ahead, you're completely Bobby schmurdering the enemy team, then of course the game changes. Like sometimes you're so far ahead that you can break the rules of the game. Like sometimes you're so far ahead that the enemy can't 1v5 dive you. Okay? That shouldn't be realistic. Because in most games, if the enemy outnumbers you 3-1, you should be able to get dove in most games. But sometimes you're so fucking fed they can't dive you 1v9 even. Right? So sometimes you're that strong and your champion is that good in that context with those items against the enemy team that the rules of the game break. There's some champions that also change that rule. Like let's say you're split pushing. In the past, Ryze was a champion that broke the rules of the game because you could just hourglass ult, like ult hourglass out of any situation. So just pushed on side, the enemy needed to answer. There was no macro idea in mind. You could just go on side, start pushing, the enemy needed to send 3 people to even get you out of there. And that would bring so much space to the team. So Ryze broke the rules of the game. You get me? That was what was so frustrating about the TP before they changed it to become Unleashed, because TP also allowed you sometimes to break the rules of the game. Every decision you made, you had to think about TP. Can they TP? Can they TP? Okay, blah, 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 you know? Some situations allow you to break the rules of the game. So yeah, we mentioned it, right? Varus is much stronger than Kate, but Kate is on the map. They pushed this wave before Varus got to do anything, and it's fine, right? They took position. DRX, while in theory, here, GENG is stronger, at a stronger point in the game. But DRX had tempo and they were first here, and they sacrificed the top tower for it. Does Yuumi break the rules? Not in this, no, she doesn't. Yuumi does not break the rules. Now you're thinking, what is annoying to play against? I just hate this champ. It doesn't break the rules of the game. Okay, I hope that gives you an answer. This was a good all-in, right? If this chain lands, he's dead. The chain that comes here. But Zeko also has flash, right? So if it's towards him, probably he'll flash, and then that's a flash. That's good, right? Good shit. Like, Chovy has found a way to keep up in the game, right? He stole some top waves, and they managed to get Herald out of it. What about Soraka and TF? I feel like every champ with the global breaks the rules of the game. Yes, right? Evelynn is a champion that breaks the rules of the game because she can be everywhere at the same time. But at the same time, it doesn't, right? Because, you know, modern macro, how you play it is that you play on 2 lanes, right? You play on 2 lanes. Let's say you have mid prio, you have prio, and then your top laner also has prio. He's stronger than any top laner, but this guy needs to wait. Whoever you decide to hover towards, right? This person on bottom side needs to wait for information. This guy who's in bottom side needs to wait for information because the 3 on mid lane decided to step into top side. When they step into top side, they're going to accumulate vision and find information that allows this guy to play. But let's say the enemy has 5 Evelynns and we don't know where they are. What happens then is, this guy who's bot will never be able to show bot because these guys can't push either. So let's say there's a situation where the enemy doesn't show and they are just all hiding in the bushes, okay? They're all hiding in the bushes. They're never showing in the lane, which is very unrealistic, okay? Very unrealistic that it happens, but let's say the enemy team, they love bushes, okay? They love bushes. They tell their significant other, never shave, I love bushes, okay? They love bushes. They're sitting in these bushes, they're chilling, okay? In that situation, you play on 2 lanes, okay? You play on 2 lanes in modern macro. In the past, people are saying 1-3-1, whatever. 1-3-1 is a myth. 1-3-1 is only possible if the enemy allows it. But what occurs is that you play on mid, right? And you put vision around mid to make sure that you can't get engaged on. And then you make sure that your support jungle and everybody else can enter. You enter space and you can rush towards this guy who tries to steal the wave ahead of time. Most important thing. Because what often happens in Western macro with a lot of the lower teams is that they are having a bukake here on the mid wave. How many Trundles and Sejuanis I've seen hitting mid waves, it is giving me a headache because they have no business hitting the mid wave, right? You want your support and your jungle to be nimble. You want them to be quick onto the side wave to make sure that the enemy side laner doesn't steal it, okay? They're hitting the mid wave for no reason. They're showing themselves. Because if you're hitting the mid wave with your jungle and support, you will not be on time on top. You will not be on time on top. Okay? So still, we have that situation where the enemy is hiding in the bushes. What do? You go through mid, you put vision around mid, you contest the wave, right? And you make sure that this guy doesn't get caught, right? That's the most important thing. We put pink wards. So we know that the enemy team can't be in this area. Can't be in this area, and then this mid wave is walking towards the tower. We don't see them there either. This is covered. This is covered right now. This is covered, and the whole mid wave is covered. We know that the enemy isn't here, right? And they still haven't shown. They gave up 6 minions right now to keep hiding their position. Then with these pink wards, we're entering here, and then of course our AD needs to hover. Our solo lanes need to hover. We can't have our top laner here. Because let's say our top laner goes here and he gets killed by 3 of the Evelyns. And then 1 Evelyn catches the wave here and we don't have time for counterplay. Right? 3 Evelyns eats our top laner. So our top laner needs to be here. Or in a case where the Evelyn shows and pushes the bot wave, then we have information on 1 Evelyn. And it can change our decision. We can keep our solo laner closer to this position, and then maybe he can go into bot when we spot people. We're calling them Evelyns because they're invisible and they can be everywhere, okay? So we have this vision now, okay? And the top wave is also neutral because Evelyn hasn't shown to push top either. They have 5 Evelyns. How are we playing a game where the enemy has 5 Evelyns and they're hiding in bushes and still make sure that we play a good macro game, right? So they lost 6 minions here. And the minion wave bot is equal, this is equal to. We go back into the mid wave, push it again with our AD because he's safe and has all the information he needs to push it. We're going to then, afterwards, to step into topside, okay? With everybody. This wave goes into there, and then we're going to place vision in these areas. And we're going to make sure that we cover all of this space too. I'm going to push and make this crash. During all of this time, we're still playing only on 2 lanes. We're completely ignoring bot, because bot doesn't matter, right? But we need to hover with all 4 and all 5 before we go into topside. The moment we spot 1 person here or 1 person here, it would change our decision. Our decision would be very different because we need less people to face check. The same thing happens where most games, if you have mid prio, what happens, right, is that the enemy AD is catching. So when you're face checking here, you know that they can be maximum 3 people and you will outnumber with 4, right? Because enemy AD is showing here. But I'm saying in the theoretical case where you play against 5 Evelyns and they're giving up the mid wave, you have to do it in the sequences that I have mentioned. First you cover this vision, right? This vision here. Make sure that your mid AD can catch these waves and push these waves on his own. Then afterwards, if the enemy is not showing on top wave, this is still equal, right? This is still equal. We're going to enter into top side. We're going to be 4 people in river while our solo laner comes up top and pushes. then this wave is gonna crash and we're going to be on time on mid, and then our top solo lane is gonna hover for us when we're killing the next wave. And when we're killing the next wave, this has crashed into the tower, we're going to start etching into here. We're going to put down vision in this area, and then we're going to have more information. And then through that, during all of this time, we didn't give a shit about this, because the enemy didn't give us information that allowed us to go bot. But let's say that the enemy are 3 on the tower and they're showing, right? Then we can send our solo lane into bot and start pushing, because then we can play around that information. We can enter into here freely, the enemy team is showing. Let's say we have a ward here and the enemy loves to take gromps. The enemy jungle is showing on the gromp, it means that we can skip steps and do it with less people. That's what we're trying to achieve. Gain information so we can achieve the same conditions with less people. That is modern macro. That is League of Legends macro. Trying to achieve the same thing with as little people as possible, so you can do as many more things at the same time as possible. Right? Let's say there's a scenario. So you want to play topside, okay? You want to send your solo lane to topside. No information on the map. What happens is that you have 4 people rushing through here, your AD is catching the wave here, and then you step into here, you put a ping, you're ready to fight, and then you're going to cross into topside. If the enemy solo laner is pushing here, you're going to face check like a fucking monkey, okay? You're going to face check like a motherfucker, because the enemy is showing on mid and they're showing on top and you're the one grouped. That's why you always open through mid on a blind map, right? You open through mid, because the enemy, if they don't match it, you're going to be able to push the enemy out. Sometimes, if you are behind on tempo and the enemy solo laner managed to steal the wave, like often we see Chovy TPing on the top wave to push, then sometimes you need to have your solo laner catch the wave. And when he catches, he's going to group with his team, hover into here, cover this pocket, and then re-enter into topside. But during the sequence, maybe the enemy solo laner steals another wave and you need to play it out like that. Right? We continue with the game. Very crucial here, the Genji don't break the mid tower. This is something that DRX do quite well. They stall out the games quite long and hard just because they keep their mid turret alive. It gives them easier access to the objectives. And something that was troublesome for Genji is the fact that they don't have a mid tower. If the enemy pushed them in and they had tempo on one wave, what occurred is that there is going to be a situation where they are the ones need to face check very tricky areas. With mid tower alive, it changes. Hey Genji, they are recognizing like, yo, we need to take this fucking mid tower, but they defend it well. The DRX are defending the tower very, very well. Very important. We have the next Drake coming up and they're beginning to take the space. They managed to get the mid prio, which is very important. Caitlyn didn't finish 2 cores, so she's a little bit weaker, but you don't have any mythic items on Varus, you don't have mythic items on Graves, and Muramana is not finished on Varus. They're not at the point where they are turbo strong. Now here Genji managed to get that mid prio because they based first, and this is the mid prio that matters. And here Genji should have all the balls in the world to face check. Like here they need to contest this, okay? So if we pause in this moment, what occurs from what we've learned is that they get the mid prio, who is going to show on midway. So we see Caitlyn Lux now, they're stuck in the mid tower. Varus is looking for poke that is not relevant. In reality here, Genji need to be in a position where they push these guys out. They shouldn't be allowed to be in these bushes, because Caitlyn and Lux are not going to be a part of such a fight, okay? But instead what happens is Ornn is oinking, the guys are oinking, and Lux and Caitlyn manage to catch this wave and they can reconnect with their allies. Gengen is now face checking all of the space, he's taking it over, and in reality they should have lost a lot of HP entering this space. We're never gonna finish this Genji review, guys. Yeah, so here Ruler did a mistake. I think he's playing in the wrong pocket. I think Ruler should be playing here, Grave should be here, and Orange should be here, and then Silas could potentially E over the wall play in this pocket. Because here they're all spotted on vision. Right? They're all spotted on vision. Here, the DRX have such an easy fight to play because they have a pink here in this pixel, and DRX is have all the decisions. They can plan them out. They know Varo's position, know everyone's position. Like here, imagine Silas ease over the wall here. Boom. Don't have vision bot, no? What do you mean? It's like vision begets vision. Okay? Switchy. What happens is, just because DRX spot the Silas, spot the Karma, spot the Graves, means that they can face check here. Okay? Imagine if Silas E'd over this wall and played in this pocket, okay? And then, worst case, if the enemy starts pushing him out, he would E over the wall. Okay? Would have been good. Been very nice. We go back. Chovy is trying to accomplish exactly the same thing. He could even stay in this pocket here. He could stay here. He could stay here, and when the enemy crosses, they need to cross this pixel. You can look for a turn. Right? This pin code is well placed, but he gives up his spot. He gets pushed out. He gets pushed out just like that. Now the RX are very comfortable. They know Silas' position. If Silas was playing in this pocket or in this pocket, base checking here becomes a lot more awkward. The enemy needs to commit bodies to push him out. But here they commit 0 bodies to push. Here Silas is spotted. Silas is spotted on the vision. 4 people are spotted on the vision. Look, they even place the pink, right? They place the pink to delete the ward. And Silas, as a melee champ, he's not going to be able to attack this fight front to back. He needs to undermine the enemy position. He needs to find a flank. Weren't we investigating Peanut like an hour ago? No. We are looking at GENG versus DRX. We don't have any bias about anything here. Yeah, GENG just played this fight very bad. Now they see Varo's position and DRX. These guys can just face check here freely, right? They can push these guys out because they see everybody. I think Burial is a bit of a madman. Like, I think Burial has no business being here, but it kind of works. Like, what kind of pressure does Silas have in this fight? He just doesn't. You can't attack the fight front to back with Silas. You can't in this game. Against Caitlyn, Lux, Kindred, Gragas, Ari, you can't attack this fight front to back. You can't. You have to find angles. You have to find angles. As simple as that. Imagine Silas was still in this pocket, right? And these guys would be too scared to face check here. But if Silas is over while they have vision on him, can't they just go ham on GENG during this? Silas will still be there. They can kite backwards. At least you have a situation where the enemy is running into you, face first, right? It's good. It's not a bad situation. How can they go ham? What does it mean to go ham? Silas can just come. He'll come. There's no problem. Not a big deal. And of course, he's not gonna like, while the enemy is posturing, like if the enemy is posturing, they're walking towards you, you can't just E over the wall, right? It's not gonna be that bad. It's not gonna be that terrible, okay? Like, obviously Silas's timing isn't like, oh wow, they're walking towards us and the fight's literally starting. I'm gonna E over the wall to flank. No, it's not gonna work. Also, Kate has traps, but at least you force the enemy to act. Here he has no pressure at all in the fight. No pressure at all in the fight. Imagine a situation, okay? Imagine a situation here. Silas is in a very good position here. Imagine Varos goes here, grazes here, and Silas just plays here in this pocket. He has pink. Perfect setup for him. Pressure the enemy. The moment they try to cross, imagine Kate and Lux, the moment they try to cross. murder them. At least make the enemy be forced to push Silas out, and then they can undermine the position like that. But they are positioning front to back while having Silas. He's playing here like he is a mage. Imagine Silas is still in this pocket, okay? He can't get caught. If he gets caught, it's a mistake from him. Plain and simple. The enemy crosses here, you ult, you start the fight, Silas comes in like that and you fucking burn them, that's a fucking possibility. Instead the reverse happens. Where should he go when Lux uses E? You mean here? You could just stay. Why does he need to leave? Because Lux ulted, he just stays. Here, Genji pulled the Drake downwards. Okay, they pull it downwards. And then Silas' position is still good. Do you think Faker would have found a better angle with Silas? I don't even know how to interpret this question. How am I supposed to? We can't say that for sure. Well, we can't. Like, it's a weird question. Like to try to play this fight in a way. To try to play this fight in a way where just playing for Silas Qs is just not it. They're not gonna find a front to back engage like this. It's just not gonna happen. But here Chovy needs to maintain this position, very important. And then when the enemy crosses this point, because like Gragas will not be able to pressure on his own alone. The Kindred, the Ahri, the Kate, the Lux need to walk up forward. And the moment the Caitlyn and the Lux cross the pixel, Gragas ult into full-on engage or nult, throw your abilities. You could say, guys, when they cross the pixel with Caitlyn and Lux, we're gonna pull the trigger. We're gonna throw Varus ult at them, we're gonna fucking Gragas ult, we're gonna fucking destroy them. But here, how can they find that engage? Gragas walks forward, we have a big body in front, and the only way to deny this big body in front and all abilities that they have is to undermine it by flanking. What is DRX doing here? These guys are not pressured because it's very like sure, what could happen here, right? Like with how Deft played it. You could say the moment these guys, because that's why I think it's crazy what Piyoshik and Battle are doing. I like what Zeka is doing, but these guys are fucking going 3 here. They could still engage on these people, let's be honest. Like they could fucking Ornn ult right now. And fucking Kate has to flash. Because these guys are committing here as 3. It's not good theory here what they did. It just kind of worked. Keep in mind, they walk through a pink. They are spotted on a pink. Here, imagine they all nulled this Kate right now. My screen, this looks pretty decent. Right? That's why I said at the beginning, I was like, Battle being here is kind of weird. And Battle being here is, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. This is Battle being Battle. Right? Battle throws shit at the wall, has no fear, has the confidence of fucking Thor, the actor. Okay? He slings his big balls and he makes it work. So here. Is Battle the Korean Hilly? Yes. They are the same people. They are the same player. Literally. Same player. Battle and Hilly, same player. People are gonna fucking talk shit about Hilly's performance this year. Hilly's a fucking legend, yeah? This year, Battle performed better than Hilly, but Hilly's a fucking legend in the game, yeah? He's had the moments in time where you could argue for Hilly being one of the best supports ever. The way he took his shit on people. Okay. Because here, Zeka was undermining the position and it was pretty decent, right? And Doran should have been enough. Like, Doran should have been enough to undercut him and defend him. Hilly is also your boy. Yes, Hilly is my boy. But no bias. I thought like this before too. Crazy situation, bro. Crazy. I don't know what the fuck is happening in this fight, dude. Bro, that whole Worlds Hilly was completely vibing. You see how Hilly played against TSM? He took such a big shit on TSM. It was crazy. Hilly and Bwipo against TSM. Very nice. Spicy, man. Yeah, this is fucking weird too. I don't have any explanation for this. I believe... I don't know if they spotted Kindred or not, but they're just... Graves is just stepping into here. I don't know about Graves stepping into here. I'm so surprised that the man didn't die. Because Deft fucked up his combo. Like here, he needed to EQ a lot faster, right? He needed to EQ faster. Really, Zeka smurfs here? Does he smurf? Holy king it. Yeah, this was crazy, by the way. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Oblivion Orb, but I think that the way people present the argument against Oblivion Orb is quite disingenuous. Okay? Because sure, in this game, I think buying Oblivion Orb, especially against Silas, that is going... So basically, the arguments against it is that you're delaying your item, right? You are also in a position where you are playing against first strike Silas, so he's going to max Q into E, have very little points in W. He's not going to be playing around that healing, right? And also in the Ari versus Silas matchup, it's very rarely that he's going to get like good trades where he can commit W all the way, right? There's a lot of arguments against Oblivion Orb. You also delay your mythic, which I think is a big deal, especially if you're buying a cheap mythic like Everfrost in this case, because it's cheaper than the other AP mythics, right? Everfrost is quite cheap, and so I don't like it for many reasons. But the way people present the argument against Oblivion Orb, I think, is sometimes disingenuous, right? Because it's very important as well to understand that Oblivion Orb, I believe, gives you 25 AP, right? So what you're comparing is, if you think about strength coming to lane, if you think about the strength, if you want to maximize your strength coming to lane with 800 gold, you could say that you compare it gives 30, I think, AP 30. Let's double check this so we don't talk out of our ass. I think 25, but I could be wrong. 35. Okay? So it's actually like insanely high. It's very high. Okay? So I thought it was 25. 35 makes it a lot better. Because if you think about 800 gold, okay? Paint. Can I do paint? If 800 gold, 35 AP, I am comparing like 25, like basically I'm comparing the healing reduction of Oblivion Orb. So Grievous Wounds is 25%, okay? Cost analysis is 95% gold efficient, okay? But there's no clear value of Grievous Wounds, right? They can't assess value of the healing reduction. Point is, what can you compare it to? 850 gold, 40 AP, lasting one. Okay? And then you can compare it to, let's say, 8 and then 70 double amp tome. Okay? Double amp tome. 2 amp tomes. Orb. Lasting one. So you're comparing 5 AP versus 25% grievous wounds. I think in a lot of cases, in the matchups that is getting bought, I think 25% grievous wounds is going to do more than 5 AP. I honestly didn't know that it gave 35 AP. That changes this conversation quite a lot, because in terms of power, if you want to walk to lane with power, you're going to delay your mythic, but you want to walk to lane with the most amount of power with 800 gold, Oblivion Orb is the way, in a lot of cases. You hurt your item curve, for sure, but if Oblivion Orb, the extra power, like 5 AP versus 25%, like this is the big part, right? We can look at the other Executioners. Executioners, I think Executioners gives 15 AD, right? 20 AD. Wow, 20 AD. Okay. Why don't I know this? Guys, you are making the wrong arguments, right? If you want to walk to lane with the most amount of power, yeah, in a lot of lanes, you are not playing, like in a lot of cases, you are not playing against a champ that heals him, right? Very Silas specific, right? Very Silas specific, he buys Doran Shield, HP regen, W, whatever, right? We're talking strictly about power, right? Sometimes, like, there's a reason why when the game starts, you're buying Doran's Ring, sometimes Corrupting Potion, sometimes Doran Shield, rather than buying a Ruby Crystal or an Amp Tome. Why? Why do you do that? Because you want to walk to lane the most amount of power. Sometimes you can buy Longsword and 3 potions, and this saves you a lot of gold, right? You get Quiver faster, you get Serrated Dirk faster, and that's what it is, right? In some lanes and in some circumstances, if having that extra power allows you to press an advantage that is converted into something greater than you buying the most cost-efficient items for the future, then it changes the dynamic and the perspective that you should have. Yeah? Soon. When players when there was the conversation about Sapphire Crystal and of course getting that quick lost chapter, right? With the like I've been in lane matchups where I bought Sapphire Crystal, no potions, because the lane matchup was so fucking pissy easy, so I just wanted to elevate my gold advantage and explode it, right? In some matchups that's viable, right? But in some matchups you want to leverage that power to create an advantage that is going to be more significant than you having that mythic earlier at a later point. It's a trade-off. It's not always black and white. If we look I just got solo killed horribly. The thing is, Baku, mythic passive, not the main reason you finish a mythic first. Usually most mythics have very strong active effects, like Ludens, or Leandri, Extec Rocket Belt. These are all very strong active effects. And you care less about the mythic passive, and that's it, you know. So of course you delay your mythic, but in theory you delay your mythic too when you buy Doran's ring, right? So it should be a conversation like, what is the trade-off? Let's bring. You think the microphone has been cutting off? I think I just need to remove my noise gate because I'm whispering. Removing my noise gate. Now it should be better. Should be better now. Okay. So, first, you buy Doran's ring plus 2 potions, 500 gold. This is an investment, right? If you think about it in theory, you are delaying your mythic, right? Because you're spending 500 gold that is not committed to your mythic. Why are you doing it, right? For lane power, right? 350 sapphire crystal, no potions, is a commitment to the idea of clean laning that allows you to find your mythic even earlier. Longsword, 3 pots, also same way, 350 gold towards your mythic. You're not buying any of the so-called lane items, right? But the issue is, if you look at Doran's ring, right? If you look at Doran's ring, cost analysis, 130% cost efficiency, right? This is quite crazy, okay? And this is without thinking about the unique focus passive and unique drain, right? The same thing if you look at Doran's ring. These items are just sorry, there was Doran's ring again, Doran's blade. Doran's blade, 131% gold efficient, right? So the main thing when you look at an item like Oblivion Orb, the most disingenuous argument is that people are only looking at the Grievous Wound number. So Oblivion Orb is 800 gold, 35 AP. Blasting Wand, 850 gold, 40 AP. Double Amp Tome, 870 gold, 40 AP. Okay? Okay? So, you are comparing 5 AP to Grievous Wounds. So people are saying and looking at Oblivion Orb as if you are always thinking, comparing, looking at the number of Grievous Wound and not comparing it to what 5 AP would do in terms of damage. right? 5 AP in terms of damage in comparison to what Grievous Wounds does, depending on the champion you play against. It's not like you're buying Grievous Wounds against fucking Victor, right? Or something that doesn't heal. Then obviously the Grievous Wounds is not going to do much. But if Grievous Wounds, let's say it reduces 60 healing in an all-in, that could be more than 5 AP in some cases, right? So if you compare the contrast here, right? So the reason I have this as an example, right? The Doran's Ring for lane power, is that sometimes Oblivion Orb, that little extra push, could help you elevate your all-ins to a point where you're winning. But it comes at the cost of delaying your mythic. The same way you buy Doran's Ring, to have lane power, the argument for Oblivion Orb in some cases could also give you lane power. But if you don't manage to achieve anything with your Oblivion Orb, and the enemy finds Mythic when you're sitting on Oblivion Orb and Blasting Wand, like exactly happened in this game, right? In this game, you had the issue that Silas already had a kill. Like imagine that there's a world where Silas only burnt Flash. Okay, let's say Silas only burnt Flash. And this Akali would be in a spot where this Silas wouldn't get that kill on the Akali where she dove the turret. He would only burn Flash because Silas was griefing. Then the situation, like this situation is very awkward here, right? Because Silas is finishing Mythic, in fact. Now he has Mythic, and Akali doesn't have Mythic. So this is a very bad spot to be in, because it didn't get leveraged into anything useful. And this is the most common outcome in this particular matchup, okay? This is the outcome that I see the most when I look at the live games, and that's why, you know, Oblivion Orb seems really, really bad. But I just wanted to make sure that both sides of the argument it's shown in a more honest way, yeah? I think it's important that the argument is shown in a very, very honest way. I think that's important. Because if you don't show it in an honest way, the conversation is kind of weird to me, you know? People are saying, wow, look at this item, it didn't reduce any healing. Well, did any other, like, it's just important that you draw that contrast, you know? Because if you walk out to lane and there's an all-in that occurs and you want to be as strong as possible, then Oblivion Orb will outperform a double, like Amp Tome and Blasting Wand in many cases. Right? That's the main thing. That's the main thing I want to highlight. Oblivion Orb, when you want early power against something that heals, it's a good buy, but it delays everything else. The same way Doran's Ring delays everything else, this is, you're buying it for quick power, right? It's the same when you buy an elixir, right? You buy an elixir for 500 gold. The gold efficiency of elixir is crazy, right? Like if elixir of sorcery. We look at elixir of sorcery. What the fuck? Why is Yorick here? Elixir. I don't know why it didn't show. So if you look at the elixir of sorcery, look at that gold efficiency, okay? After consuming elixir of sorcery, it becomes 400% gold efficient, okay? But this is the same reasoning, the same thought process, right? Elixir is goddamn broken. I always tell my players, buy elixir ahead of times, especially, like elixir is a very good buy when you have objectives overlapping within a 3-minute time window, which means that the odds of a fight breaking out is very high, and elixir is going to give you a lot of fucking power, okay? It is a very good thing to keep in mind. When you see Nash is spawning in 2 minutes and Drake is spawning in 1, it means that the elixir will overlap over 2 objectives. This is a crazy good buy, right? But if elixir is not used to fight or not used to do anything and it just delays your third item, then it's completely useless, right? But of course with elixir it's a lot easier to find those timing windows. Elixir is fucking broken. Alright? And elixir is really, really OP. If it's on when you are talking about it. Since the Oblivion Orb in so many cases is completely used, why not invest in Dark Tome instead? Bro, like, what the fuck are we talking about? This is such a surface level question, Dayvirus. Because what are we talking about? We're making that comparison, right? But I underline this. The only reason I have this conversation is not because I am saying that the Oblivion orbs are good. I don't think they are in a lot of cases. Most games where I see Akalis and whatever buy Oblivion orbs into the Silases, it doesn't pay off. Silas reaches Mythic and then he's going to be stronger than you, right? But then it shifts back, right? Yeah, that's fair too, Espir, right? But that can be argued for everything, right? You could say that you could have based for Amp Tome and Dark Seal, and that's a little bit cheaper than Oblivion Orb. So it's like that argument, I don't want to bring that argument up because it can be applied to all of the items, right? I don't think buying Oblivion Orb has been successful at this World Championship if I look at all of the games, right? But I still want the argument to be fair. Because no one ever talks about the fact that Oblivion gives 35 AP, and it's very close to Blasting One double Amp Tome in AP. And in early game power, you're comparing 5 AP to Grievous Wounds, and with a cheaper item. So in terms of power, like I thought this item, I thought it gave you 25 AP. I was very surprised it gave 35. Now that's a lot of AP. You're comparing 5 AP to Grievous Wounds. That's all I'm saying. And I think it's important to have that distinction. Isn't Borella outside of the passive still a pretty efficient item too? It gives 90 AP and 300 HP for 2,500 gold. The thing is, HP is not a super interesting stat that you want to spend gold on as it's a mid lane carry in a lot of cases. Sometimes that HP can be very useful and sometimes it cannot be. You're just not looking for HP as a stat line in a lot of cases. And a lot of that gold efficiency is in that HP chunk. So keep in mind, I also still disagree with it, you know? I just wanted to make sure that the arguments are presented fairly. I think that's important. Mess with Crabble. You missed the whole point of the conversation, if this is your conclusion now. And I will go insane if I try to re-explain it over and over again to each person that comes in with the same comment. If you missed the conversation, you can watch the VOD. It's accessible to you. I make my example again. You buy Doran's Ring and 2 potions and Corrupting Potion. Lane power. You invest 500 gold into lane power, right? Sometimes that can be also considered like Dark Seal. Dark Seal, with how Dark Seal is nowadays, in terms of how much AP the stacks give you, Dark Seal is not that much of an early game item, because those stacks can make it into a really broken item, really quickly. If you get stacks on Dark Seal, it becomes the most slot efficient item in the game, for 350 gold. If you have 10 stacks on Dark Seal, there's no item that is more cost efficient than Dark Seal. Broken. Look at Dark Seal, okay? So it doesn't fit in the same box as Corrupting Potion and Doran's Ring, right? It just doesn't. Look at the gold value, okay? At maximum stacks, it gives 372% maximum stacks gold value. It's insanity, okay? It is bonkers, okay? So Darkseal isn't in the same box as an early game item. Buying Darkseal is definitely like, it's a good item to keep in your inventory for the rest of the game. But then you have to think about salt efficiency and so forth. Will you not have pings, whatever? You have to think about this. Sorry, Angel. I got into this conversation, this topic, and I got stuck in it. I will be with you very soon. I will accept. And we can queue up. I'm very sorry. Sorry, Alana. So my point is, sometimes you sacrifice later items to increase your lane power, right? So if you wanted to go the full eco route, you went Sapphire Crystal, no potions, and then your mythic was quicker than ever, right? First strike, fucking full eco, this was an idea, right? And that was a commitment in the other direction. But if you had a player that went Sapphire Crystal every fucking game because his thought process was, I'm going to rush mythic and get it ahead of time, he would get so turbo-fisted in lane that his mythic would be so fucking delayed because of how weak he is. Right? First strike, futures market, Sapphire Crystal, like there was this ideal Malzahar, you get this, but if you did this against a good player, let's say he's picking anything that is like remotely meta, he's going to bully you out of lane, and you having this fucking Sapphire Crystal, and you'll be 40 CS down. Right? You're going to be so fucking fucked. You're going to be so shit on. Point is, you are like sometimes, right? Sometimes you buy Oblivion Orb and you don't have Mythic in a moment where it doesn't matter that you don't have Mythic. That can also happen, right? And then Oblivion Orb, when you have Oblivion Orb and Mythic, all of a sudden you are very strong, right? So these things are important to consider. I don't agree with a lot of the Oblivion Orb purchases, but in terms of how narrow that matchup is, Silas versus Akali, having power is very important. That matchup is very volatile. How many times in this entire World Championship did we see situations where the Akali was turbo fisting the Silas with his Oblivion Orb? Okay? We saw that many times. I remember Jensen versus Bruder Musas versus Faker. I remember Humanoid versus Faker. So look at this. I have T1 versus Fnatic. This one, okay? So, wait, what the fuck is this? This is the... sorry, this one. Okay. So here, okay, in terms of power, this Akali is fucking broken. In terms of power. Here, this is a matchup that requires Akali to have like a lot of power. Honestly, like that I didn't fucking realize that fucking Oblivion gives 35 AP is such a big deal. Like this changes my opinion about the item big time. It's really 35 AP is so much. Like you're trading 5 AP for grievous wounds and delaying your mythic. Like that to me is coolio. Like here, this Silas cannot lane. Obviously, it would be the same case. It would be exactly the same if he had the fucking blasting wand. I'm not saying it's that black and white. And grievous wounds is not gonna make you like. It's not the difference between fisting him with 3 fingers, or like fisting him with a little pinky, or fisting him with the whole fist. You know, it's not that big of a difference. But there's a nuance to this discussion that I think was very missed upon a lot of people.